Alright, so I had a new video made that was like an hour long, but fucking YouTube is just starting to piss me off. Like, it uploads, but it processes for like 2 hours and it just, was like aborted, even though nothing was aborted. So, yeah, I'm getting sick and fucking tired. So, this is going to be a shorter version, and I might do this in parts. Originally I thought about splitting the original video, but, fuck it. I'd rather just, you know, drink a few more beers and start from nothing. Oh, as you can notice, yeah, I've been having some technical difficulties, and my laptop screen totally died. Occasionally, when I reset, it'll turn on for like 10 seconds, but yeah, it's pretty much dead, and I'm forced to use the external, which is okay, but it's kind of a pain in the ass because now I've got everything in this one corner. So anyway, today we're going to take a look at the Super Cassette Vision Ladies set, made by Epoch back in 1984. And as you can see, unlike the original Super Cassette Vision, was released in, it was black, green, and white, and came in a standard cardboard box. But to try to appeal to aspiring young girls, they made the ladies set version, which, as you can see, basically comes in a nice vinyl pink case that looks very reminiscent of a girl's makeup case. That's pretty much what it is an 80s makeup case. And that alone makes this fucking awesome. Pink is a wonderful color on women. And, today's fashion sucks. What is it? Why are girls just so fucking ugly these days, man? Back in the 80s, they wore pink and black, and they looked like women. They were hot. Today it's like, I'm just going to put on the pregnant clothes and I'll slap some lipstick on and that makes me look good. No, fuck it doesn't, man. Most girls I date these days wear very minimal makeup, especially lipstick. Lipstick's is like the biggest turnoff ever, man. A little bit of gloss or a little bit of pink is okay, but how can women wear red lipstick? It's fucking nasty. Anyway, so inside, as you can see, the system's actually not currently in it. This thing is to hold the system. And originally this is the AC adapter box, which originally came with an AC adapter. The set also included the RF cable, the RF modulator switch, and a box copy of Milky Princess, which is why there's a little like indentation here. Like an original game would have been like, would have come up like this, rested on top of the RF stuff. Though oddly enough, this set, Milky Princess is the game this set came with, which is a really, as you can see, it's also in pink, and it's a really crappy little girls game that was pretty much, if you're going to make a girly set, you gotta have a girly game. And of all the games I have, this one's probably the worst. This thing fucking sucks. But as you can see, though, the case was designed so that it can actually hold, loose cards very nicely. So you get this nice carry case. And get to walk around the street with your pink box, which pink is an awesome color. Admittedly, I don't live in the U.S., so if you go around the street with one of these, in the U.S., maybe some American women might laugh at you, but American women really just aren't worth the trouble. Nah. Guys, do yourself a favor and get the fuck out of the USA if you want to meet good girls. They don't exist in the U.S. anymore. Anyway, and then of course, I've got a few box games here. Got Super Golf, which as you can imagine sucks ass. Punch Boy, which is kind of a neat little original game, but the controls in it really suck. Nebula, which is one I'll get to in a minute. And Miner 2049er, which is, this is actually, the Atari game from '83. You can see it's from USA. The Super Cassette Vision only had like 30 games on it, and I think Epoch was kind of desperate, so they started licensing stuff that looked marketable. Like, as you can see, this version uses fairly advanced graphics compared to the other versions of Miner 2049er. And, Miner 2049er was clearly inspired by Donkey Kong, and this version, the new graphics make it look very, very similar to Donkey Kong. Not that that's a bad thing, but yeah. Great classic game. And then we also got Star Speeder, which is the game that I always wanted a Super Cassette Vision for. This game is really, really cool, and we'll get to that in a minute. So, let's take a look at the system itself, which is hooked up over here. And as you can see, it's about 3 shades pink. Actually, probably more than that. This is, I don't know how the camera's going to show it. This is not white. This is pink. This is pink. The cartridge doors are actually white, but this is actually pink, and it's the same shade. And like this is also the same shade, though the buttons here are white. But yeah, you got your your power switch, your reset, pause, your select keys, and cartridge swatch. And then the original Cassette Vision, the controller door was opaque black, but here it's another shade of pink, and it's actually transparent, which is kind of cool. But yeah, the controllers are hardwired and they're stored inside. And since they're of course hardwired, the cables aren't very long, but there's a little notch here so you can actually, take them out, shut the door, and still play. And the controllers themselves are also customized for the lady version. They're kind of small, which with big man hands like myself, they can kind of get a little annoying for long-term play, but most of the games you don't really spend more than like an hour on anyway. But yeah, you got 2 buttons and a very simple digital stick. As you'll notice, the stick is there. It's kind of spongy. It's not exactly what most people would probably like, but it's not really bad. I mean, it's to be honest, it's basically just a slightly larger version of what you'd see on like on an LCD game. It's basically the same exact type of stick. So yeah, it's a little spongy, but it works just fine for the kind of games the Super Cassette Vision has. And I don't really have too many complaints with it. It generally functions quite fine in the games that were programmed right. I mean, of all the games, Punch Boy controls like shit, but the rest of them don't, so, that's just the game. The Super Cassette Vision is pretty much a Z80 clone. Essentially, it's kind of like an MSX1, but it can actually scroll. Well, it has hardware scrolling anyway. And it also actually has a shitload of sprites. This thing does like 128 at once. I don't think any of the games came anywhere near that, but it also does have a few interesting features. Like if you look at the back, you'll notice a denote here. Yeah, this system has RGB and RF. There was an official RGB cable. I have not found one yet. Pinout wise, it's unique, but I'll probably just make my own anyway. But for the time being, I'm just stuck on the RF, which is unfortunate, but yeah, it does have legitimate RGB, which is quite nice because you can always take the RGB and make whatever you want with it. And it's got a switch to switch between, RF channel 1, 2, and the RGB out. You can't use both at the same time. And I'm not going to flip it over because it's hooked up. But on the bottom side, there's actually some neat little screw adjusters. So you can adjust the channel frequencies for the RF. You can also adjust the color intensity, and just nice little custom stuff that very few systems ever had, really. So yeah, Epoch released this in 1984, and it's only got about 30, or I think about 30 games, even really, and Epoch did a pretty decent job on this one. There's actually quite a bit of variety. Like when you think about, most systems had something they were good at, like the Famicom. A lot of good 2D platformers. The PC Engine had tons of shooters. The Mega Drive just had a lot of good action games. The Super Famicom here has a lot of games that look nice in screenshots, but as soon as you start playing them, they realize that they're total fucking shit and look horrible in motion. But I haven't thrown it in the garbage yet. It probably will get chucked out when I move, because this system is really, it's a piece of shit. It really is. But I do have a fairly decent stack of games, so if you want to hate me for saying that, go for it. But Super NES is a piece of junk. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of variety. I mean, this system has, I mean, if only 30, there's not a high number. I mean, there's like 6 sports games, and there's a mahjong game. But beyond that, I mean, you get there's some racing games. You know, there's some imported platformers, like there's Miner 2049er, there's also Boulder Dash. Then you get some weird, unique stuff like Punch Boy's a decent game. The controls, unfortunately, kind of hurt it, but it's a decent game. Star Speeder, which is a really cool racing game. Nebula, which is, you know, a horizontal shooter. The system also had the world's first Dragon Ball game, which I don't have because it sells for like $100, which I really don't like Dragon Ball so much. So that's more than I really want to spend on it. But it's actually a vertical shooter with some really nice graphics, though gameplay-wise it's supposed to be pretty awful from what I've heard. There's also at least one legitimate RPG. This system actually had a port of the original Dragon Slayer, which admittedly is a game very few people would want to play today because it's horrendously difficult, and you know, it's the kind of game that it's totally unfair, but it's a legitimate RPG on this thing. And in fact, it actually has, the cartridge is actually like double size, and it has a door, and you actually put AAA batteries in it to save your game with, which is really damn awesome. Because not only does it have battery save, but since it's just normal AAAs, you can change it easily. You don't have to rip the card open and, you know, solder and desolder shit, and just clean and simple. And well, it may have looked low tech back in the day. These days, it's so convenient. So I definitely look forward to tracking down Dragon Slayer, but it's also one of the harder to get games, unfortunately. But with only 30, I might as well go for them all. I mean, the sports games are pretty shit, as you can imagine. Super Golf here it's ass. Just, you know, I'd show it to you, but it's not even worth it, because it's about as basic as a golf game as you can get. But the thing that really hurts it is that when you aim, you can only aim in like 16 directions. Like, you know, if you got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, blah, blah. There's only like 16 possible angles you can aim in, so, which is just not precise enough for a golf game. You know, in golf game, you want to aim wherever the hell you want to, not just in 16 locked directions. Ugh. You can disable the wind though, which makes it easier. Fuck, I'm running out of battery power already. So, yeah, I'm running out of battery power, so I'm going to have to switch to the hard line, unfortunately. So, alright, we're back. We're on the hard line now, which kind of hurts my mobility, but I can keep ranting. Yeah, I've had a few drinks tonight, but, yeah, I usually do when I film. Anyway, so, for most people, the Super Cassette Vision it's not really a system you'd want, but if you like older stuff and have a good sense of curiosity, it's a neat little system, and you can have a lot of fun. I'm actually quite enjoying it, even just the few games I have so far. So I don't know. I don't want to keep this video too long. So let's start with let's start with Star Speeder. My conditioned copy of this is in really good shape, which makes me happy because this is a really cool game and one of the ones I wanted the system for. So the boxes are kind of nice. You know, they open up with tabs and you get a little manual. And you know, the games just slide out, which is not so easy to do with one hand, but yeah, nice little cases. And it actually has the controls written on the label: phaser, accelerate, left, right, hyperspeed. So yeah, anyway, this is a good system to probably own. For any of you that are unfortunate enough to be in a relationship with a so-called gamer girl. This is a trend on the internet I've been noticing a lot lately. Especially on YouTube. Lots of really, you know, a lot of hoes that some of them look okay, some of them just look like shit. A few of them are bangable, but not really what I'd call good looking. But anyways, they're like, look at me, I'm a gamer girl, and you know what, that's so full of shit. You know, my days, I've dated a lot of good, legitimate women. Some of them like to play games on occasion, some of them don't. But honestly, I don't really care, because when I actually have a girl in my apartment, typically I'm too busy trying to take her clothes off more than I actually want to play damn video games. Though admittedly, in Japan dating works a little different, because typically you see your girl less often, maybe twice or 3 times a month. But maybe once a week if you live close, but typically speaking, it's not like the US where, whatever girl you're with will probably just randomly show up at your apartment at like whenever she feels like it and just sit down on her ass because she has nothing better to do. It doesn't really work that way here. Japanese women have lots of their own problems, but that's a story that could go on for hours. But in general, though, if you've got a Japanese girl in your apartment, you're not going to sit on your ass and play video games with her. Very unlikely. And I mean, if you're married, then, she'll probably already hate your guts. So, that's a totally different thing anyway. But, anyway, yeah, there's lots of these fake gamer chicks on YouTube. And, fuck, man, why do people watch that shit? Like, I mean, if you want to listen to a girl ramble for a while, that's okay, but those girls don't like games. They're just fucking attention whores. They can't get what they want from the usual people, so they go online and think, oh, a bunch of gamer guys, they probably can't get girls. Well, you know what? We gamers can get girls. It's a matter of getting what you want, really. If you really just want to go out and get laid, it's really not very difficult. Thing, though, is most people tend to think it is, which, as far as video game players goes, there's two types. There's people like myself that I generally consider normal, well, somewhat normal with a little bit of insanity. I've got my weird issues. I know I do. Everybody does. And then there's, let's see if I can get usually, since I'm using RF, yeah, I'm going to try and use this TV, but let's see if we can get something decent here. That. But, when I really want to get laid, it's really not that difficult. But, just so many attention whores on YouTube, especially females. And, fuck, man, they just need to I've tried to watch a few videos of some supposed hot gamer chicks, and god damn are they annoying. Just shut the fuck up, bitch. Like, if girls want to play games, it's all cool, but they're all just like, look at me, I'm a gamer girl. No, you're not. You're a gamer that happens to be female. Just call yourself a gamer. Anyone that says I'm a gamer girl is a lying cunt. Just fucking useless, man. Alright, that looks okay. Turn the light off, which might help, since the RF is pretty decent, since, the graphics really aren't all that advanced, because this system, it's below Famicom, really. I mean, it's got more sprites than the Fami, but it's not really, But again, there was really no third-party support for this system. Basically just Epoch doing whatever they wanted. I mean, they licensed stuff, but they did all the programming. So as you can see, this is a space racing game, and a pretty damn cool one. The graphics are, they're simple, but they look good. As you'll notice, the music's kind of but that's the main weakness of the system hardware-wise. It's got that kind of PC speaker telephone beeper thing, the kind of thing that you'd find in like one of those shitty European Spectrum computers. But after a while, it just sounds natural and you don't really care. This is one of the more impressive games, technically. It even has voiceovers. Fuck you. The camera's balanced on a pillow right now. Alright, so you hit the select keys. So, yeah, you hit the number key. So, there's 4 courses. Each have 4 tracks each. So you get 16 total, which is pretty decent for, a 1984 racing game. They get progressively harder. If you start at the beginning, you'll just play through all until you get game over. You only get one try per course. It's time-based, and if you fuck up, you go back to the beginning. You get no continues, no second tries. Just go back. It's 1 or 2 players. So yeah, you put that in, hit start.
Are you ready? Okay.
I don't know what the second voiceover is. Maybe Hell's Bells, like the AC/DC song. But yeah, you can, so yeah, the time on the left is what you gotta beat to clear the track. And up in the top right, you've got your power meter, which is used for 2 things. Your hyperspeed and your phaser. The phaser, you can just shoot guys out of your way, basically, which is kind of nice. And hyperspeed it's not really turbo, it's just acceleration. Which you can use to like I used it in the beginning when the screen went white. Just used to get up to full speed almost instantly. But your energy's limited. And the beginning tracks like this, you get like 300, but in like the last circuit of the game, you only get like enough to use hyperspeed twice, and that's it. So it gets it gets pretty challenging. You know, these first few tracks are pretty easy, but the later ones get a lot harder. If you'll notice, the game does its best to try and simulate a 3D effect. Like the star field will actually go up, it goes down, it spins, depending on if you're supposed to be doing like circles or corkscrews. If you look in the manual, there actually is a map for all 16 races, so you can kind of imagine what you're supposed to be experiencing. Of course, you don't really get the effect of flipping upside down, but you know, there's only so much you can do in a game like this anyway. But you cannot go off the track. You can't die or anything like that. It's just, you know, get to the end whenever you get to it and go for the qualifying time or not. But yeah, you can actually fly off the track a little bit and not have a penalty. But if you'll notice, some of the balls on the borders are red. If you touch one of the red ones or ram into something, you get kind of penalized where for a few... See, yeah, like right there, I hit it. See, I can't accelerate now for a few seconds. I'm stuck I'm locked at minimum speed, and so yeah, you lose a lot of time that way, which will really kill you in the later tracks. Also, as you get farther, the later tracks, the guys actually shoot back at you, which makes things a lot, you know, harder. But yeah, Epoch really tried with this one. This is a very impressive little game, and Taito actually ripped off this idea and made an arcade game out of it called Vertexer years later in 1993. Vertexer is actually like one of the holy grails of the arcade world. It's undumped. It's extremely rare, and I only know it exists because there's a few videos of it up on Nico Nico Doga, basically Japan's version of YouTube. And it looks incredible, but it's totally a copy of this game, just with, you know, way better sprite effects, way better scaling, crazy background stuff. Hope I can play it someday, but still find it interesting that, you know, this little game on this little console that no one really ever gave a damn about was totally ripped off and remade by Taito into an arcade game years later. Yeah, I have no idea what that one voiceover is. But anyway, so, I mean, what was I ranting about? Yeah, gamer girls. Any girl that claims she's a gamer girl, fuck her. Just useless as a human being. You know, if she's a girl and she's like, I like games, that's cool. But if she says, I'm a gamer girl, I'm a gamer chick, like, she actually identifies herself with that name, just run for the fucking hills. Because she's so full of fucking shit, it's not even funny. Just an attention whore that just wants to, you know, thinking that she'll get something from guys that don't know any better. Now, you know, generally speaking, a guy's experience of girls really has nothing to do with his amount of game playing. You know, there's some gamer guys that get girls all the time. There's some that get them, you know, once in a while. There's some that never get them. And it really has nothing to do with the fact that you're playing games. Myself, I'm kind of in the middle of the road. Being in Japan and living in the country where there aren't many white people, you know, that does give me... Getting dates is pretty easy. Getting long-term relationships a bit more challenge, but, you know, just finding a girl to hang out with is fairly simple for my, you know, where I am. But a lot of that is just location and, you know, interest. You know, in general, a lot of Japanese girls are interested in meeting foreign guys, but as far as having a real, like, long-term relationship with them, most, no. Most just won't do it. Or, to put it more accurately, most think that's not possible.
Nice try.
But, anyway, yeah, I'm gonna put a different game on now, 'cause...
Great.
So, I put on Nebula, another fairly interesting game. But, yeah, I don't know. Lately, I don't know, just way too many women out there that think they're hot shit when they're really not. Kind of like my sister. There's anyone out there that wants a real bitchy girl? Feel free to let me know. I'll give you my sister's number, because she's a fucking bitch, and, just need her to shut the fuck up. So anyway, this is Nebula. And you'll notice I'm pretty sure that music was stolen from, something very popular, which I won't mention. Now if you look at the game, you'll notice something. This one's also pretty impressive. We've got some real parallax scrolling. We've got an Egyptian theme. But as you'll notice in a minute, there's also Moai. But I'm going to get started anyway. This game has amateur and pro difficulties. On amateur, it's really, really easy, and I beat it my first time. Pro, it's a lot more challenging. I mean, the game has 4 levels, which seems short, but again, for a 1984 console shooter. But yeah. You got some nice parallax scrolling, which is fairly impressive. You can shoot, and you've got missiles, and you control the depth of them. A lot of enemies have specific weak points you have to hit. And you're probably thinking this looks a hell of a lot like Gradius. In fact, it especially will in a minute, because this game has Moai. Here's the thing, though. This came out in 1984. Gradius came out in 1985 in the arcades. So, I don't know if anything, Konami ripped off this. So here we go, the Moai. But controls are very nice in this game. You know, it's nothing particularly fancy, but I really have no real complaints here. The collision detection is actually really, really good. You can fit through some very tiny gaps. Which, you know, the collision detection is way better than a lot of, you know, modern shooters, actually. So it's very nice, you know, it's just a very well-made shooter, considering how old it is and what it's running on. So you can get really close to these bullets. Oh, and right there, I didn't actually get hit. I got caught in explosion, so I'm in breakdown mode where I'm kind of penalized and can't shoot for a few seconds. But only a direct hit will actually kill you. But yeah, this is a cool little shooter. It has 4 levels, and you have to beat each level on 1 life. So if you die, you go back to the beginning of the level each time. And it does actually have, like, legitimate bosses later in the game, too. So, yeah, for 1984, this is pretty impressive, and, you know, I can't really be sure for sure if Konami ripped this off, but I got a feeling they said, hey, Remember Scramble? People like that game. How can you prove that? Hey, look at this game. I like this. So, yeah, I got a feeling someone at Konami played this when they were, you know, coming up with that new Gradius thing that everybody loves. Hell, the manually aimed missiles was something Gradius came up with years later, even. But yeah, this is a fun little game. Definitely one worth getting if you're gonna get a Super Cassette Vision. But yeah, this is a nice little system. The normal Super Cassette Vision is fairly common. Well, not really. Well, they're uncommon, but they're not really very popular. So you can get them fairly cheaply. Of course, if you don't have the RGB in RGBK, if you can't use the RGB in some form, then it's RF only, which, you know, if you don't have a Japanese TV, you might have issues with, you know, the RF channels. I mean, you know, typically they come on like channel 95, 96 on an American TV, but I haven't heard of too many people that have really messed around with a Super Cassette Vision. The system was actually released in France by a company called Yino, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's got RGB though, so you can definitely get a nice... Which I'm looking forward to making it up in RGB cable once I get the parts, because seeing this in like razor sharp, but I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm on level 2 right now. This levels 3 and 4, the color palette does change. But yeah. But yeah, ever since I first saw a picture of the ladies version, I was like, fuck, I need that. You know, it's a girly console like the Loopy, but this one actually has legitimately good games on it. And it's just, like, I mean, the machine looks like a damn Valentine's gift. It's just great. Gotcha. Yeah, so you gotta hit both the weak points on that thing. So yeah, I mean, for a lot of people these days might find this kind of boring, but if you're into really classic shooters, this is a fairly solid game. And I mean, it's got 4 levels, but if you do beat all 4, you go, you know, the game loops forever, basically, so... Oops. Shit. Damn. Oh, and interestingly enough, that the fleet of ships used in the beginning are like all your ships, so now there's like one less because one of mine died. Nice little effect. Man, what is it with women? They're so much fun to, you know, actually be with. But in general, though, they're just a pain in the ass. I mean, I'd say generally I'm a pretty easy guy to please. As long as you know, take care of yourself. You're not... you're not overweight. And, you know, you don't smell funny. And, you know, your face doesn't make my eyes bleed. And, you enjoy spreading your legs, and there's nothing funky down there. That's about all I generally need. At least, you know, to enjoy a relationship. But, I don't know. You know, there's a lot of... From what I've noticed, there's a lot of people that seem to think one of two things. Women like nice guys, or women like assholes. It's usually one of the two. And true, in my opinion, that's total fucking bullshit. They don't like nice guys, and they don't particularly like assholes either. The truth is, women want both, really. They want it all. They don't want someone in the middle. You know, women are creatures of emotion. That's what they thrive on. Is, you know, emotionally, women are up and down all the time anyways. There's just something different in their chemical balances. I guess, I mean, how could I describe it? Is that, you know, we men usually, in general, we men kind of have what can you say, a kind of, typically we like to have a kind of an ending, you know, a goal, a place we want to be after time. Women, though, you know, women might say they want that, but what women really thrive on is the ride itself. You know, they don't care where they're going, they don't care where they came from. Is the ride itself. You know, they don't matter. They don't care where they're going as long as the trip there is interesting, exciting, and gives them a reason to open their legs up. You know, that's the real truth of it. You really want to, you know, if you want a good relationship with a woman, the key is to just keep her, not necessarily keep her guessing, but, you know, don't be a pussy. When she does something stupid, which she will, because she's a woman, get on her for it and say, what the fuck are you doing, bitch? Don't be a fucking idiot. That's just dumb. But at the same time, when, you know, she looks in the mirror and realizes that she's really just not anywhere near as attractive looking as she thinks she is, and starts crying, you know, that's when you go into nice guy mode and be like, oh, it's okay, let's just have sex and forget about it. And that's pretty much the key to, you know, getting along with women, is you just basically feeding their emotional roller coaster rides. That's the real key to it. In general, you know, nice guys tend to think assholes do better because, typically speaking, assholes tend to feed into that better. You know what I mean? And a lot of women claim they want a nice guy, but no, that's just because if they say they want like a bad guy, then people are like, oh, you're just a dirty slut, which might be true, but now, women are in it for the ride. That sheer emotional roller coaster, that's what they want, that's what they crave, that's what they need. And once you figure that out and learn how to play with that, that's when things generally go quite well. But, why the fuck am I even talking about this shit anyway? I don't know. Anyway, I think that's enough for this video, so I'm just gonna kill myself here. And, so yeah, that's the Super Cassette Vision Lady set. A wonderful piece of history. And, you know, there's not enough... You know, there's apps... If you want a good game console that comes in a nice, sexy pink, and if you're any kind of, you know, decent person, that's exactly what you want, then the Super Cassette Vision Lady set is a wonderful pickup. I'll admit they are kind of hard to find. I've been wanting after one of these for a long, long time. And finally one appeared and I was like, yeah, and it was a little more than I wanted to spend on it, but didn't have much of a choice. Still though, if you like older stuff, it's an interesting little system. Nicely made. Some nice little games on it. Interesting little piece of history, and good stuff. See you next time. Hopefully the YouTube fucking works this time, because I'm tired of trying to upload these damn vids.